This is Mike Lingle from Rocket Pro Forma, and today we're going to evaluate a peer-to-peer loan financial projections. And I just helped a company put these together. It's actually a pretty cool little model with peer-to-peer lending. We put three KPIs up top. So loan originations, the number of loans that's being made per period. And the first three columns are months, so the first 3 months the company is in existence. Then we shift to a quarterly view. Then we shift to a quarterly view, which is 3 months. And then this gives a summary of the first year. So this is a sum of these columns. And then you get year 2 and year 3. The outstanding loan value, so this is the total value of all the loans that have been that are outstanding at that time. So you can see it grows from 10 million. We write $10 million worth of loans in year 1, then we get up to $72 million in year 2, $335 million in year 3. This is after payments have been made back. So it's not the total value of loans that have ever been written. It's the value of loans that are remaining. And then the loan payments received. And the loan payments received is really, the cash flowing into the company. In this case, the company takes in all those loan payments and then pays them out to the investors in the peer-to-peer model. So the company is sitting in the middle. And that actually drives, we'll talk about this in a second, that drives the float, which is a potential source of revenue. So when the revenue comes in, the company gets to keep the company's loan fees. And they're charging a pretty high interest rate, so you'll see this turns into a significant amount of revenue. They're doing a couple different types of loans, so we set up 3 different types: personal loan, small business loan, and a mortgage. And these each drive different amounts of revenue. And then we set up the float. The way the float works is if you take money in, you can hold on to it for a few days. So like with your bank, for example, when there's a deposit or when you transfer money, you may not see the money come out the other side for 2 or 3 days. What the bank is doing is the bank is investing that money over those 2 days to try to make a little bit of extra. And that's called the float. So we modeled out the float here. And one of the things that was really interesting, I thought the float would be worth more money, but it wasn't actually worth that much money. Again, these numbers are in thousands. So by year 3, we're generating $28,000 a year worth of float interest, which really isn't enough to make it worth it, I don't think. If you're doing $16 million worth of revenue, it's not really worth having a line of business that generates $28,000. You'll probably work harder than the value you receive. The way we set that up is here. So interest earned from loan float. So we modeled out a 3-day float with a 0.25% interest rate, just because interest rates are super low right now. Obviously, you could make the days longer, you could make the interest rate bigger, but it didn't even turn into enough money that it's worth spending too much time on that. And then for cost of sales, this is the cost mostly of the loans, which is you take in all the fees and then you have to pay out the investors, and then operating expenses, and then you can see the headcount here, and we're tracking average revenue per employee and average expense per employee, and probably this needs to look a little different. Probably we would go to something in the 20s of headcount in year 2 and then get to this 34 number. And then we'd be doing about $500,000 in revenue per employee, which is great. If you can pull that off in a company, that's pretty awesome. This company loses money in year 1, so it loses about $300,000, but then it starts making money in years 2 and 3 as the book of loans grows. This is an interesting little business model. I hadn't really modeled out a peer-to-peer lending company before, but just wanted to walk you through the thought process and what we learned along the way. Thanks so much. This is Mike Lingle from Rocket Pro Forma. Hit me up with questions, subscribe to the channel. I'll be pumping out a bunch more videos, so see you soon.